Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar on how to eliminate data access hurdles. In today's data-driven world, organizations need fast and secure and flexible access to critical business information. Today, we'll be discussing how to eliminate those data access hurdles with SQL Business Intelligence and how it can empower business users with seamless data access, robust reporting, and flexible deployment models for all user access requests. By the end of today's session, you will learn practical ways to simplify the data access strategy within inside of your organization and truly become a data empowered organization. All right, let's get started. My name is Greg Schmidt. I'm a senior solutions engineer here at Fortra with over 25 years of experience in different areas, all the way from IBMI automation, document forms automation, departmental automation processes like accounts payable and receivable automation, intelligent document processing, and also RPA technology, along with business intelligence. I have over 20 years worth of experience in the IBMI report and spool file distribution area. And over the years, I've been key in helping companies secure and automate their document and data processes, and in turn, helping them streamline their business processes with technology and strategic planning for digital transformation of documents, data, and business workflows. Today's agenda so it looks like this, right? So first of all, we're going to talk about, how to enable data access efficiency within your organization and why data access enablement matters within organizations. Then I'm going to go through understanding the SQL business and intelligence deployment options that we offer. And then I'll finish up with a live demonstration with the solution in action and how you can import existing queries and also create new ones in just a few minutes, along with how different ways users can access those, sort of going around the deployment methods that we'll be talking about in the second topic here. And then last of all, if we have time for Q&A, we'll do Q&A, but feel free to enter in your questions no matter what. If we do not have time to address them towards the end of the webinar, we will address them and come back to you through an email or a call or something like that. This webinar is being recorded, and you will receive a link with the recording link afterwards that you can rewatch or share with someone in the organization that might not have been able to attend today's session. And again, feel free to enter those questions into the chat window, and I can address them towards the end of the webinar, again, if we have time allowed, or if not, we'll reach out afterwards to you directly. Customers we work with are facing a variety of challenges when it comes to accessing their data. This slide summarizes the key obstacles we consistently hear about and sort of categorize them into these common themes, right? Like too many queries, right? One or the overwhelming number of queries that people have to manage today. Teams are struggling with keeping track of these queries, which often leads to inefficiencies and also frustration with inside of organizations. The next one's a big one here too. Query tool is limited. Doesn't have all the flexibility and configuration that, or the capabilities that the organization is requesting, through there. Another one is too slow. It doesn't retrieve the data it's fast enough, right? It doesn't do certain things in the proper methods and speed. Need access to other databases. Right? Might not have access to all databases, might have other solutions that are connecting to those other databases, but a lot of organizations need one system to be able to connect to DB2 data, SQL data, cloud data. So you need all those different kinds of options there. Another one is not modernized, right? So you might be using something like Query 400 or another tool that might not be as modern or doesn't have all the different options right inside of there. Or it might just be custom programming you're doing in those cases. So it might not be modernized. C-level demands. And it's not just C-level demands, it's the whole organization demands, right? In these cases, but having the capabilities to be able to you know, have strategic insights, you know, and stuff like that, and give strategic insights with real-time data to the C-level and the business users. Limited export options. This is a huge pain point. A lot of people don't have, you know, the capability to push to Excel. They don't have dashboards. They don't have a browser interface, kind of a thing, right? So people need to be able to access that data in different ways. Multiple steps to end result, right? So this one's a big one. You know, sort of going back to an export option. You know, if it's an Excel option that you want, you know, being able to access it directly from Excel instead of going through 15 different steps to be able to get it, right? So if you're using another tool, you know, to be able to get those end results, you might have to go through, you know, sometimes 5 to 10 different steps to be able to get that. And a lot of people don't know SQL. There's a lot of users that don't know SQL. So you have to sort of, I always call it hiding the complexity of the query, you know, behind the scenes, you know, kind of a thing to the user. The user shouldn't have to worry about the data stuff, the data and what it looks like and stuff like that from that standpoint. They should just be able to select columns and get what they need right away, or through prompting, right? And then lastly, it's just in some cases too much data, right? There's just so much data over there, it's overwhelming. So being able to, you know, create these, you know, real-time access to the different, you know, I'll call them pockets or silos of data out there, and do it in ways that are easier. A lot of organizations, when they say I got too much data to look at, they might look at the opportunity to create dashboards over the data so they can see high level statistics over the data at that point, and, you know, see if things are green or yellow or red, kind of a thing, right? So these are all big, you know, challenges from that standpoint. You know, these challenges highlight, you know, the critical need of a solution, that for a solution that is, you know, fast, user friendly, and capable of connecting to a diverse data sources out there, right? You know, from that standpoint. Now let's talk a little bit about the benefits of using a solution like SQL BI, you know, for empowering data access, right? Um, so so the big things is empowering business users, right? So, you know, when users have secure and seamless access to the right data, they feel more confident in their roles. Empowered, you know, employees are more engaged, innovative, and way more productive because they have what they need at their hands. They're not waiting for things. Streamline collaboration enables secure, you know, collaboration across different departments with clear, defined access permissions. Teams can share, you know, insights without exposing sensitive information. So not just collaboration and sharing the data, but also, you know, security across the board as well is huge from that standpoint. Do you have the capability to access the certain information? Another one is improved decision making, right? Real time access to accurate data leads to informed decisions, you know, way better informed decisions, right? Because you're working inside of the live data. Now with SQL BI, users can generate detailed reports, identify trends, and uncover, you know, opportunities with minimal IT intervention, if any at all. Cost effective, you know, by reducing the dependency on IT, you know, for the data access and reporting. You know, it's SQL BI can save time and resources, allowing teams to focus on strategic initiatives. Compliance confidence, right? SQL BI simplifies compliance and strategic data protection regulations and others by ensuring, again, secure access to live or historical information. I think that's a huge one always, right? Is security to the data. Empowering business users with secure access to the right data is a crucial step toward building a data-driven organization today. With SQL Business Intelligence, uh, businesses can achieve the perfect balance between user empowerment and also data security. So it's sort of a, you know, scales, right? It's sort of a scale to say, okay, I need to give you data access to this, but I need to make sure it's secure at the same time. Now, the next one here is just understanding, the business user needs. I always like to sort of bring this up from that standpoint. When we focus on understanding business user needs, we address three critical aspects, right? Identifying data requirements, analyzing user roles, and tailoring access solutions. This approach ensures that the data is not only accessible but also relevant to the and actionable, right? And empowering teams across the organization. So let's take a little look at these three categories, starting with identifying data requirements. Start by asking the fundamental questions. What does the business need to achieve its goal? Right? Collaborate with stakeholders to understand specific data types, formats, and sources. Eliminate how frequently data is needed, or I should say, evaluate how frequently data is needed, and whether it must be real time, more of a periodic kind of a thing, or on demand. Access, access requirements, right? So look at accessing the compliance and security requirements to ensure data integrity and regulatory alignment. Data is the foundation of efficient decision making. Not all data is equal value. Focus on identifying mission critical data sets. And that's a big thing to think about, right? Not all data has equal value to an organization. So you really got to focus on finding that mission critical information. I think that's key to sort of repeat there. Now let's move on to that next category is analyzing user roles. Defining user roles to map how each team or individual interacts with data, right? Consider the differences in data needs for an operational staff, an analyst, and executives. Look at the difference that they need or how they need to look at it differently, right? Then um, assess the technical skills of the users to identify the level of complexity or simplicity required in the solution, right? So do they have certain bits of knowledge? Do they know SQL? Do they not? Do they know Excel? Kind of thing. Ensure levels basically to promote efficiency while maintaining data security. So you want to make sure that first of all they have the access to it, but then also ensure that they have the right security to the data at that point too. And remember, every user has unique responsibility with inside the organization. And by aligning the roles with tailored data access, you will be able to empower users to be more efficient. And lastly is tailored access solutions. Develop a solution that can deliver the right data to the right people at the right time. Leverage tools that allow flexible access, whether through dashboards, reporting, mobile friendly interfaces, or directly from within Excel. Or maybe it's a report that gets, has automation behind it that gets delivered to you every morning or every week or every month. Ensure solutions are scalable and adaptable to future business needs and changing roles within the organization. Maintain a strong focus on data security again, basically in employing features to enable a secure organization, right? So make sure that you can secure the data from maybe from the IBMI side, but then also at the user or database level. Access isn't just about availability; it's about a tailored solution to drive productivity and support strategic decision making. Understanding business users' needs isn't just about the fulfillment of the immediate requirements, right? It's about enabling a system where data becomes a catalyst for smarter decisions, greater efficiency, and sustainable growth within inside of an organization. And now I'll cover a little bit about with data access needs and in a strategic today or in a strategy today and sort of in the future as well. Challenges with traditional data access. Many organizations struggle with data access due to, outdated methods, right? Security restrictions and inefficiencies in, retrieving and analyzing data. Here are the key, and here are the I'll call it the list of the key challenges, right? Like siloed data access systems, right? Data is often spread across multiple, databases, applications, and file systems. Lack of integration between the ERP, CRM, and legacy systems make it difficult to collaborate on insights. So it might lead to inconsistent reporting and decision making based on incomplete information. Lack of self service data access is the next one here. Business users rely heavily on IT teams to extract and prepare data. Limited data access is to real-time information slows down analysis and decision making. Right? If you don't have access to the right data, how are you supposed to make the decisions? Non-technical users struggle with complex query tools and reporting interfaces. This is where I was talking about, hiding the complexity of the query, to the users. Security and compliance concerns. This is always a big one, or if it's not, it should be a big one. Unauthorized access risks due to lack of role-based permissions, right? Data breaches or leaks due to improper data governance, right? You don't want stuff to leak out of the organization or your data to in competitive scenarios. Compliance challenges with industry regulations like GDPR, HIPAA, SOX, and all those different kinds of compliances. The next one is performance and scalability issues. Traditional reporting tools may require a manual process, slowing down data retrieval. Heavy system loads can impact performance, especially on the IBM or other legacy systems. That's why you want to make sure the solution you're using has quick real-time access to DB2 and other data sources. Organizations struggle to scale reporting capabilities, as data volume grows, right? So you got to have sort of that data strategy to be able to grow, with inside the organization and make sure the solution is scalable with you as well. And then outdated statistics and reporting, right? I mean, many legacy systems rely on static reports that don't allow interactive data exploration, right? So being able to drill down into data and refresh data and stuff like that. So you want to make sure that you have that capability to be able to interact with real time data, right? And then making sure it's not outdated. Users must, in some cases, users must request reports from IT, and that leads to delays, right? You need the data now. If you're working on something, you need to see that real time, kind of thing, real time data access there at that point. So those are I'll call it the top ones there, but, centralized and integrates data access, self-service reporting analytics, robust security and compliance controls, scalability and growth data and data needs, interactive dashboards, and real-time insights. Those are all the key topics there. With real-world impacts of enabling data access with I'll call it with SQL Business Intelligence, the overcoming traditional data access challenges, businesses can experience significant improvements in efficiency, decision making, and overall productivity. And here's how the SQL Business Intelligence makes it, I'll call it a tangible impact, right? Again, it improves the decision making with real-time analysis and data thoughts, right? It also is faster reporting and reducing IT dependencies, right? You don't have to depend on IT all the time. Users can get to that data through prompts. They can get to the data, a lot quicker through the interfaces and the report creation and views over the top of the data. There's many different ways to be able to deploy and access. Increase productivity and operational efficiencies, right? So employees can, before, Employees are going to spend an excessive time, searching for data across multiple systems, right? But with a system like, SQL BI, a centralized web-based access point allows instant retrieval of critical business data and greater scalability and flexibility, right? Legacy systems struggle to keep up with increased data volumes. With SQL BI, organizations can scale their reporting and analysis capabilities as they grow, whether it's an on-premise or cloud impact, right? So you have different ways to be able to access it, all running natively from your IBMI system. Now let's talk about the Fortress SQL BI solution more in depth from that standpoint and how it can help you access your data needs, and your strategies today and also into the future. With SQL Business Intelligence, we are empowering both IT and business users to securely access and deploy complex business data. Whether your a data expert or someone that is looking to gain quick insights, SQL can simplify the process and ensures actionable information is at your fingertips to help you turn raw data into decisions effortlessly. SQL Business Intelligence brings together, again, the robust data visualization tools and secure access protocols, making it an ideal solution for empowering business users. Here's how we address key challenges, right? Like we have an intuitive user interface, right? SQL BI provides a friendly user interface for understanding this and the design stage that empowers the technical and non-technical users, depending on who you are, to generate reports and insights without IT support. By simplifying this process, employees now can focus on what matters, analyzing and utilizing data for decision making. Enhanced data security. At the collecting and discovery stage, you can connect to any Type 4 JDBC database and use the core security by using the native IBMI security. And if needed, you can use the SQL advanced, more granular permission settings to allow and to always allow and ensure data integrity at different levels. Real-time data access. At the share and deploy stage here, business users need data now, not later. SQL BI provides real-time access to critical insights, enabling users to react quickly to changes and opportunities. Development, or I should say deployment to your users can be done via a web browser interface for zero application footprint, or deploy a web-based dashboard, or directly access through Microsoft Excel with the SQL BI plugins. You can also set up automation to deliver your data to you how you want it and when you want it, if it's a daily, monthly, or yearly report kind of a feel. With our SQL BI solution, we can help you bring the business together with the data, right? So we can bring the business users again together with the data and give you that easy access to create data stories throughout the business. Organizations today, again, this is everybody's aware of this, right? I mean, that's probably why you're on the webinar here, is they manage vast and complex data across various data sources, right? So that could be DB2 data, that could, it could be SQL data, it could be a mixture of all that, right? So having but the big thing here is offering a central repository, right? Meaning that all your data might live in different data sources, but the central repository where the data, where all the access levels are from, you have the different methods to be able to access that. So if a certain department needs, you might create a view over top of a data, but that might be used by every single department because of the prompts that you might put in place. So you can create reusable queries inside the repository for be able to, I'll say, cut down on the numbers of queries that you have to have. So you can create different views to be able to do that. And again, DB2 data, Oracle, MySQL, Microsoft SQL, any type 4 JDBC compliant database. As long as there's a driver for it, we can connect to that. Now here's, I like to sort of show this here because this is a huge one here, and we're going to go through this in the demonstration here. But here's how, popular methods of data access, right? So SQL web interface, being able to use for zero footprint, runtime prompts. I want to show this in the live demonstration here too. Excel add-ins, dashboards, being able to deliver dashboards up to people that might be interactive dashboards or just static dashboards, or scheduling automation, being able to schedule that automation function there. So there's different methods to be able to do that from this standpoint. And here's the other one here before I get into the live demonstration is different levels. You're going to have users at all different levels within inside the organization. Some might be expert levels. You have programmers or business analysts that are very crafty. They want to be able to work in the SQL skills, right? They want to use that kind of feel. Or I like to live is the medium level, right? Where I'll show you in the interface how you can sort of do more of a visual, but there's different things you can sort of flip back and forth on, right? And there's a beginner level, more of a wizard structure, and then a non-existent SQL user, right, that might not know SQL. You might want to build a template for them to be deliver over the data that they can just select the columns that they want. They don't need to know the data so much. So that's why, again, depending on the level, you can hide the complexity of that data again behind the scenes. Now, in this case here, I'm going to switch over to the live demonstration, and I'm going to start with showing some of the capabilities around the different things like the SQL web interface and all that good stuff. But the first thing I want to do is I want to take a prompt or create something here or import something. So I'm going to log into our viewpoint designer. And if I can type my password, sorry about that. I'll log into the viewpoint designer, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my Greg temp folder here, and I'm going to import a query 400 query. So I can show you how easy it is to import and access. All right, so here's all my query 400 queries. I'm just going to grab one here and import it, but if I wanted to grab multiple, I could grab multiple. I'm just going to import that in, and you'll see right there, it's already imported. And the nice thing about that import, it's accessible to me too. So if I go back here to my SQL web interface, right, through a browser, so a user might be accessing this, they can actually see that now. They can double click on that and access the data behind the scenes. So very quick to be able to interact with that from that standpoint. So being able to import it. Now, if I wanted to be able to, maybe do a design or change something up on there, right? And maybe make it more accessible to the user, make maybe a prompt or something like that. This is now where I can actually design around this one here and say, and maybe I want to do it in the SQL. Maybe I want to do it there. Maybe I want to use what we call the view builder prompt up here, or that's the wizard. Or maybe I want to do it in the files and fields so I can actually see all the different joins that I have going on. I have all the different fields inside of here, all my different export options, so I can see all that information. So this is that query basically that got imported. But maybe I want to build that prompt, right? So I'm going to take the customer number. There's different ways to be able to do this. I'm going to drop this down in the where clause, and I'm going to add this little piece here. And what that's going to do, it's going to offer a prompt up. Now, a prompt can be a data prompt where someone types in something. It could be a drop down, could be different things, right? So I'm going to hit the save button on that one because I want to save that. And I'm going to close this. And then I'm going to go back to my web browser for deployment options here. And I'm just going to refresh that. And then I'm going to go in and double click on that. Now you see that there's a prompt. So that was very quick to be able to build a prompt. So in this case here, mine is a data-driven prompt, right? So I can come in here and actually say 100, 600 in this case, that's the customer number I'm looking for, and find that information very quickly. I could reprompt and say 100, let's see, 100, 112, I believe is another one. I can actually see that different data sets at that point. So I can create those different prompts to be able to do that. So very easily I can create those prompts and deploy those different prompts. Now we have all different kinds of prompting capabilities in there, right? So you might be you might need to create a prompt around, certain information. Maybe it's a and maybe it's a certain data set and stuff like that. Maybe like this, right, where I want to say, hey, this is off of certain different regions, right? So now they can use this information and prompt on it and get that information and work with the data, right? Reprompt it if they need to. If they need to, pull less. Maybe they want to be able to, you know, work with the data a little bit in the browser at this point, right? And do some different stuff in here. So now you can actually prompt inside the browser and actually do like subtotals. Maybe I want to do some graphs and charts and sort of see what the data is trying to tell me in this case. So I can actually say, hey, I want to see what this data is trying to tell me from that standpoint and sort of see the ups and downs of the business by every month inside of here. So you can actually sort of, look at that information and see sort of the dips inside of there and drive down into that data a little bit more. So it's really nice to be able to do that. But that gives you the capability. You can have multiple tabs open like I had up here too, so you can be comparing things back and forth, from those different data sets standpoint. And you even might have a multiple prompt one like this, where you have different dates and different kinds of things and qualifications that might happen inside of here as well. And then the last thing I want to show you too is the capability. Again, there's scheduling capability built in, but a lot of organizations love to use Excel, right? Excel is the number one, data manipulation tool that people use, right? So being able to, maybe query some of that information and like in this case, like add something inside of a sheet, right? That I might want to work with every single day, or something, right? So I can come in here, sign on with my credentials. And then with signing on with my credentials, I'm going to go to my Greg Temp library, or I can go through the drop down as well. And I'm going to browse that one, and I'm going to grab that sales one so you can sort of see that one here, right? And the nice thing about this one, this is going to have a prompt on it. This is going to prompt me. So if I needed to say, let's go in here and do 100, 600. We'll prompt on that information. But if I wanted to maybe refresh that data, I could refresh it, I could reprompt on it, or maybe I want to create a different sheet for each one of those, different one of those customers, and then save this. I could save this as a template as well. So you do have that capability. All right, but there's a lot of different things. So I always recommend, this is a quick overview. I could spend, hours here going through different things here from that standpoint with inside the application that it does, right? Like I said, we have different tools, dashboard capabilities. You have scheduling automation and stuff like that too. But feel free to schedule time with us as well if you'd like to see a little bit more. If this was intriguing to you at that point, but we do have some questions, and I know I ran over time here today, so thank you for staying with me here today. We will get back to everyone that does put questions into the chat window here today, so we'll get through those as well as time goes on here from that standpoint. But I want to thank everyone for joining here today. And I hope you've learned, how to start that empowerment with inside of your organization, right? How to enable, the different data access strategies within your organization, and a lot of the importance. I don't think the importance is. I think everybody knows the importance, right, from that standpoint. But being able to start out small, maybe in some cases, right, and being able to modernize and do things like that as well. But thank you for spending, your time today on this topic. Feel free to, again, add any additional questions. Reach out to us, enter them into the chat while the meeting's open here still. But you will receive a link with a recording either today or tomorrow. And you can rewatch it, or you can forward it to someone that might want to see some of the different things I talked about today. But thank you again, and have a great rest of your day and the rest of your week.